Good afternoon. It is Friday, February 16th, 2024. In the passage of Scripture we're looking at today, we're getting ready for the triumphal entry into Jerusalem. Jesus had already prepared the way. He knew what he was going to do. But the disciples did not see everything and did not understand everything because they were in the middle of living it. Sometimes we get so overwhelmed by the daily need tos, keeping gas in the car, keeping the car running, shoes on the kids, food on the table, that we have trouble seeing the hand of God around us. We just get so caught up in the have-tos. In Mark chapter 11, verses 4 to 7, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation, second edition, it says, "The two disciples left and found the colt standing in the street, tied outside the front door. As they were untying it, some bystanders demanded, 'What are you doing untying that colt?' They said what Jesus had told them to say, and they were permitted to take it. Then they brought the colt to Jesus and threw their garments over it, and he sat on it." Now, Jesus said there would be a donkey's colt. And so they walked up to the door, and there it was. The first step was to untie it. And that's not a hard thing. It's going to be tied to some kind of hitching post or hitching rack, simple knot. They start untying it, and immediately they're challenged. "What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you untying that donkey?" Now, they could have given a lot of answers. They could have said, "We're untying a donkey." "What are you doing?" "We're untying the donkey." "What are you doing?" "We're breathing." "What are you doing?" "Minding my own business." "What are you doing?" Or they could have just ignored them. But instead, they said what Jesus told them to say. He'd given them the words, and they used his words. Immediately, permission was granted. Jesus not only knew what was going to happen, he knew how to diffuse what could have been a tense situation. So they brought the colt to Jesus. Now, there's no saddle. This colt had not been ridden before. There's no saddle. There's no, on a horse, you'd call it a horse blanket. Do you call it a donkey blanket on a donkey? There's no donkey blanket. So the question then comes, what can we do? What do we have? Well, they chose to use what they had. Now, take note. When he gets through with the donkey and hands you back your cloak, guess what your cloak smells like for the next 3 or 4 days? You're going to smell like donkey for a few days. And if you've never smelled a donkey up close, just one of life's experiences you need to have at some point in your life. Jesus gave them a simple task. He gave them words to defend themselves, and they chose to be obedient, to follow and do the simple things he had said. Then when the opportunity arose, they chose not to feed the conflict, not to help irritate or cause a fight. They just repeated the words that Jesus gave them. And that took care of the situation. Then when they found out they were lacking something, they gave what they had in order to make up for the lack. They put their cloaks on the donkey instead of a donkey blanket. Jesus tells us a lot of simple things to do. He says, read the Bible every day. That's simple. But so often we find reasons and excuses not to. He says, go to church. Be with other believers. But so often the least little excuse will keep us out of church. When we're only talking hour and a half of our time once a week for most of us. It's simple. But we choose not to, instead of choosing to be obedient to the simple things. He tells us to share with the less fortunate. And most churches have a lot of ways to help you share with the unfortunate. And yet we choose, we're too busy, we have to work, we can't help. Not me, not today. Let's be simple. Let's do what he asks. Let's be obedient, and let's recognize that he's got everything under control. and he has everything in order, and we can trust him. God bless you.